Good Friday morning, everyone. I've been reading with interest and great amusement and edification uh, this new book, Lion of Light, Robert Anton Wilson on Aleister Crowley. Uh, Bob Wilson, he just keeps getting better and better with age. Uh, I think I mentioned this before. I was privileged to write some introductory words for this, and there's Bob Wilson there with Grady McMurtry, the head of the OTO. This was at the first occasion where uh, I'm sitting at that table. This is in Carmichael, California, or Sacramento, a number of years ago, where I first met Bob. And there's our lodge brother and representative Victor Coleman presenting our lodge's award, the Adam Weishaupt Illuminati Award, to Bob back in 1989. But anyway, I've already talked about this and plugged this book and encouraged you to read it. But a few years after Bob passed away, his work was continued in sort of an online, and in those days, sort of a futuristic online university, if you will, of that he called Maybe Logic Academy. And I did I did two sets of a series of five different courses, 4 or 5 different courses, and I did those courses multiple times, and generated a great deal of material on.
Okay. I found this on the web for Advil, I believe 5 different courses for 5 different courses. In the end, I did to those courses multiple times, and I generated a great deal of the. Check it out.
Well, thank you very much for your input there. I don't know what. Do you know what made that trigger? I don't know. Don't bother me again. Don't interrupt. Anyway, so I'm redoing some of the stuff to perhaps revisit the material. Of course, I've become wiser in the last 10 or 15 years. But anyway, a new generation of people, I think, might appreciate at least aspects of that work. Anyway, I was in doing so, in preparation for perhaps a new series. I've been going over the material, and I want to just share one little tidbit, one little peek at this one course that I taught, called the Western Magical Tradition. And it in turn was based on a weekend workshop, a 3-day workshop that I did at the Omega Institute of Holistic Studies in Rhinebeck, New York, a few years even prior to the Maybe Logic Academy stuff. And my challenge at the Omega Institute was to literally introduce to an unmagical, technically unmagical audience the basic fundamentals and formulae of Western ceremonial magic. And it was a little daring for the organizers of the Institute to invite me to do that because it's a very, very sophisticated student body, I guess, number one. And it's something that my dear friends Rachel Pollack and Mary Greer had sort of established themselves as sort of the tarot introducers. So they were kind of getting bold to invite Lon Milo DuQuette to talk about initiation and talk about magic and such. So I really had to come at it from an aspect knowing that the people are highly educated, highly sophisticated, but completely unaware of the classic Kabbalistic things like that. So, in other words, I don't want to call them super muggles, but they were a very high level of student body. So I was on the spot because I'm just I'm the biggest putz on the faculty there. But anyway, so I ran across just the opening volley of part one of a 6-week course that I did for Maybe Logic Academy, which was a little more focused, a little more hip audience. But I used the basic format that I established at, and the tricks and the gimmicks and stuff that I did at Omega. But I just thought I would share with you just the opening section of week 1 of my course, 6-week course, Initiation, the Western Magical Tradition. The week's title was Initiation is the Western Way. Introduction and Overview. Now remember, this is all done not so much live online, but there was live forums and interaction and things like that. It was very ingeniously set up, but people actually read. They read it. I wasn't speaking it over a video or anything. Happy is he among men upon earth who has seen these mysteries, but he who is uninitiate and who has no part in them never has lot of the like good things once he is dead and in the darkness and gloom. Now that sounds a little awkward, but it's Homer. Hymn to Demeter. Hello, and welcome to this 6-week initiatory experience. Yes, you read correctly. I said initiatory experience. Initiation and initiatory societies are at the heart and soul of the Western magical tradition. So, starting with this very first class, you'll become an initiate of an informal, but I assure you very real, initiatory order. Of course, something we do for a few short weeks over the internet and chat lines cannot exactly take the place of the live initiatory experience offered by Freemasonry or the Golden Dawn or Ordo Templi Orientis or other magical or classically structured orders. So please don't think I'm promising you any kind of astral initiation or induced cosmic enlightenment. At the end of our 6 weeks together, your aura will probably still be as unfluffed as it is right now, and your chakras still unattuned. The only secret chiefs or Mahatmas or invisible masters you're likely to contact during our time together will be those that represent the very real spiritual forces already at work in your life, balancing and adjusting the soap opera plot of your own personal karma and inherited destiny. But the same might be said of your experience in initiatory societies who meet in brick and mortar temples. In a very real way, we're already members of the most holy order in the universe, a secret initiatory society of one. Whether we realize it or not, every one on the planet, indeed every unit of evolving consciousness in the universe, is on an initiatory journey, a journey of self-discovery and self-realization. The ultimate end of our journey is not somewhere we go, but someone we become. What we can do with this class, if you're willing to allow yourself to be part of the process, is to install the formula of initiation itself deep inside your personal operating system. Once the formula is installed and running, you can, and inevitably will, apply that formula to all facets of your life and mystical career. It's a formula that keeps you constantly moving forward, growing, evolving. I'll talk a lot more about that later. For the moment, let's discuss the initiatory society you're about to join. I call it the Order of Omega, the OOO. Perhaps I chose that name because I could think of nothing better to call it. And nothing is zero, and zero looks like a lot like O, and one of the Greek O's is Omega. Perhaps I chose to call it OOO because I originally created it as a 3-day magical intensive at the Omega Institute for Holistic Studies in Rhinebeck, New York. Maybe I like it because it just sounds cool. In any case, you'll soon see that the 3 O's conceal and reveal certain mysteries which will become more obvious and hopefully more profound to you as your initiatory experiences proceed. Like other schools of the Western magical tradition, the OOO is comprised of degrees. In our case, 3. We'll spend 2 weeks on each degree. The 3 degrees of the OOO are as follows. First degree, the lesser mysteries. Second degree, the greater mysteries. Third degree, the supreme secret. Each degree begins with a ritual of self-initiation designed to raise your consciousness at least 1 step higher than that of the previous degree. You'll study lecture, practice exercises, and perform rituals unique to each degree and hopefully appropriate to the level of consciousness and magical identity each degree embodies. Some of you may already be familiar with some of the magic rituals we'll be working with during our 3-degree journey. Good. But please don't be tempted to gloss over our work with them. They'll be presented in contexts that are fundamentally different than those you have likely experienced before. At each step, you'll be presented with a jewel of your degree, and given a password and the signs of recognition, a step, a grip, a sign, or a token, by which you prove yourself qualified to enter the temple of your degree and perform the magical work appropriate to that particular level. Sounds silly? I confess up front things will probably seem to get a little goofy. But there's a profoundly serious underlying magical significance to such silliness. A secret of human consciousness so fundamental to the nature of reality that, if properly understood and mastered, might very well offer us the key to overcoming death. The ancient Egyptians certainly thought so. And so, dear aspirant to the Order of Omega, if you find yourself tempted to skip over all the funny little steps, signs, grips, and passwords, the claptrap of the degrees of our non-corporeal initiatory society, I hope you will resist that temptation. For in truth, long after this class becomes a distant memory, at each step of the great initiatory journey that is your life, you'll be obliged to pass through a door. Each is locked and guarded by a terrible monster. And no matter what form it takes, the monster is always you. The you who stands in your own way. The you who doesn't want you to move forward. The you who wants you to have no part of the mysteries. The you who would have the consciousness of the continuity of your own existence extinguished like a candle flame once you were dead, down in the darkness and the gloom. Before you stand one of those doors, right now, go on, knock. Now, this is something I want you to really do, number one. That's I have bold headings. Something I want you to really do. Using either your right or your left hand, knock 3 times on the top of your head. There. Do you feel a little more awake? Good, because you are. You're standing at the outer door of the sacred temple of the Order of Omega. You are still an outsider, unproven, unobligated, unpurified. You're not yet attuned to the rhythm of the initiatory cycle. That rhythm is measured by an unyielding cadence. It is the rhythm of life itself. Birth, life, death, renewal. Oh, it's like this. Birth, life, death, renewal. It is the rhythm that drives living things to evolve. Resistance, struggle, mutation. It's easy to feel the rhythm from the very beginning of your initiatory experience. In almost every order, the candidate first applies for initiation, then is examined, investigated, and voted upon by the lodge members. And finally, if the application is honorably received and approved, the candidate is scheduled for initiation. In many initiatory societies, this process takes several months, during which time the candidate experiences a level of anxiety. Worry that he or she may be rejected by the lodge. This anxiety is a good thing, for it triggers in the candidate's heart a program of soul-searching, self-examination, and reflection. Am I worthy? Have I unknowingly offended or injured one of the members? Does someone at the lodge know of my past sins or indiscretions? Conversely, this waiting period might trigger in the candidate's mind doubts about the organization itself. Do I really want to join this outfit? Why are they taking so long? Do they think they're too good for me? I heard they were snobs. My minister says they're devil worshippers. David Icke says they're shape-shifting reptiles that rule the world. These thoughts and fears are also good things, for indeed some of them might be true. And honestly, who can ever know the full end of all his or her acts? Sorting out these doubts, resolving once and for all to go ahead with the initiation, come what may, is the first ordeal of initiation. It's a part of the process itself. It's you confronting you. It's your first act as an initiate. As a candidate for OOO initiation, you have things a bit easier. Maybe Logic Academy, and I accept your application the moment you click the button and registered you for this class. Your worthiness was determined the instant your tuition was subtracted from your PayPal or credit account. Nevertheless, I'd wager to say that few, if any of you, have not already experienced at least a tinge of anxiety over the possibility that you may have misspent your money. Some of you are probably asking yourself right now whether DuQuette is going to deliver something that is actually worth the price of admission. And am I going to scare you even more by telling you quite honestly, I can't promise that I will. So, if you're still willing to go on, so am I. Let's get the three-part application process behind us. You knocked, you applied, you have scary doubts, I have scary doubts, I accept your application. Your fees are in order. Done. Your initiation will begin immediately. See, what time do we have here? Let's see. Oh, we'll take it a little further. OOO first degree. OOO initiations are a little different from the formal ceremonies practiced by great magical orders of the past and present. You won't have to promise to pay monthly dues or obey authority of any officers or organizational hierarchy. You won't have to renounce your religion or political party. And even though this may disappoint some of you, you won't have to take off your clothes or submit yourself to torture, real or imagined. Of course, because you're in the privacy of your own home, you can take off your clothes if you like, but please, it won't be necessary for you to share this information with the class. You won't have to promise to keep anything secret either. But promises and oaths are important elements in the initiatory formula. Solemn oaths are usually taken at the beginning of each and every degree. And it's not always easy to keep the conditions of such magical oaths. Indeed, it's impossible. Nevertheless, it's necessary to take them, agonize over them, and try as much as humanly possible to remain true to your word. As I wouldn't ask you to do anything I wouldn't do myself, I'm going to start the ball rolling by making a pledge to you that after that, I'm going to ask you to take the preliminary oath of the first degree initiate of OOO. My oath to my students. I, Lon Milo DuQuette, in the presence of my own holy guardian angel and all I hold sacred, with one hand on my heart and the other hand on my head, do solemnly promise and swear that I will do my best to initiate, teach, instruct, and counsel the members of my Maybe Logic Academy class, even though I may ask them to do things they may think silly and unnecessary. I affirm that I do so with the most serious and sincere magical intention for their spiritual well-being and enlightenment. And I will never ask them to do anything against their will or better judgment. So mote it be. And then I affirm that I read that aloud. It was January 31st. Okay. Now it's your turn. Something I really want you to do, number 2. Place your left hand on the top of your head and your right hand on your heart, or vice versa. And read the following out loud with as much genuine sincerity as you can muster while your hands are in this ridiculous position. I, your name, in the presence of all I hold sacred, do solemnly promise and swear that I will do my best to follow the simple instructions of the OOO rituals of self-initiation, no matter how silly and unnecessary I at the time may think they are. So mote it be. See, that wasn't so hard, was it? OOO initiations are more like simple affirmations to yourself, brief meditations by which you consciously and willfully take steps toward becoming someone new. And by step, I seriously mean step. Something I really want you to do, number 3. Please stand up. With either your right or your left foot, take one step, either forward or backwards, or to either side. Now sit down. Take a couple of deep breaths and relax. If you like, lower the lights in your room. Light a candle or some incense if you like. I'll wait. Tradition informs us that candidates to the ancient mysteries were first bound and hoodwinked to demonstrate their condition of spiritual blindness. In this helpless condition, they took an oath that, in essence, was a solemn promise to themselves, a promise to persevere to the end, a promise to become a new person. In keeping with this tradition, I now ask you to voluntarily initiate yourself by closing your eyes for a moment. Then open them and say out loud, I hereby accept responsibility for my own condition of darkness and ignorance. I hereby acknowledge that only I can bring myself to light. Now imagine for a moment that you are lying in the sarcophagus of the king's chamber of the Great Pyramid at Giza. Sound corny? Never mind that. You took an oath. Get in there. you hear a voice. It is the voice of your initiatory guide. Mine sounds like Anthony Hopkins. While lying in the sarcophagus, your guide asks you questions, and you answer aloud. And the first question is, who are you? And that's a little taste of where this course, this 6-week course of the Western Mystery Tradition that I did with Maybe Logic Academy. In the coming days, weeks, months, years, perhaps, I will see if this will be redone in another more kind of updated incarnation. Perhaps it will, perhaps it won't. But for those of you who weren't part of that 2015 000 class, that's a little taste of what it was like. So until tomorrow for Saturday morning cartoons. Let me know if you'd like me to continue with this over the weekend. If not, I'll have plenty to do for Saturday morning cartoons and Sunday school. Until then, continue to be good to yourself, be good to each other. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law, love under will.